seen the same kind of generic lineup. We see Gronners hitting creeps. We see a strong offlane sort of semi-carry or utility hero from Inferno Koi. I guess we have seen Gron and Inferno switch up once between them, where Inferno was on Void and Gron went on the Darkseer, but that's been the only situation where that's happened. But then we have a strong mid-game mid-solo. And that's usually Ichigo on OD or Puck or something like that. But a lot of these players, they can switch up roles. They can play playmaking heroes or carries, whatever they want to do. I'm just wondering though, Antab and Watson's Water, their support has been pretty good so far. Their movements to try and hold down mid lane and get Ichigo the farm he needs has been pretty good. Do you think Bravado Emotion is ready for those movements?
I don't know. I would say Bravado Emotion, to be honest. Well, it depends who the movements are against. Like, we would say that Seam probably has a sixth sense for when ganks and rotations are coming. Like, I've never seen anyone who's as good at judging that well at the not at the top professional level, who's as good at judging when he needs to move back in the mid. So like I think in that regard they're kind of immune to the rotation, but the other people on the team, like Donnie or maybe even Flares, could be a little bit more susceptible. And I would say that, Bravado Emotion, I think Emotion is a very fitting name for them because they definitely are very I think Dendi used some terms, I don't really remember them exactly, but they're like momentum players. Like they're almost all momentum players. So like they're a team that could very easily get a little bit disgruntled after some successful rotations from Ichigogo. So it's really going to depend quite a lot on their ability to dodge that. But look at that. Slark and Tree good against Mirana, and they picked both of them. I couldn't have been more clairvoyant if I wanted to.
Well, where do you think they're going to run this? Safe lane Slark again with the Treant pulling and getting as much experience as he can?
Yeah, I think that's going to be absolutely it. And I guess the question will be what their other support will be. Rubik would, I guess, be pretty good. I mean, it's a nice range zoning support, and it's obviously keeping against Brana.
Yeah, and Rubik and Tree usually go well together, hand in hand. You've got Telekinesis and then the Leech Seed. But AA picked up there by Ichigo stack. Another hero we've seen them play quite often. Watson's Water has shown a pretty damn strong AA, just narrowly missing out on a Rampage a couple of games ago. But they do need something to couple that up with.
I mean, it's still certainly possible that it'll be the Mirana support along with the AA, but I guess we'll have to kind of see. I know Gron likes agility heroes, so he can buy slivers of agility, despite his trend of not doing that this week, or this day. Yeah, bought it 1 out of 3. But the other thing I guess Bravado Emo could go with, which would be good other than the Rubik, is also the Shadow Demon. Shadow Demon's a very natural combo with the Treant, although I guess maybe it's a little bit less good now that the Leech Seed damage was nerfed, because I think you probably can't make a kill with that. But Shadow Demon's also excellent against Arrow, so I don't know, there's definitely a lot of options for them. And I mean, the question for Ichigogo will be, will we see a Darkseer here again if it's not banned, or will Bravado Emo even just ban it?
Yeah, I'm still waiting for heroes like Sven to come back into things. We saw a recent run at DreamHack with Alliance picking up Sven quite often. We even saw them try Sven solo mid a couple of times about 6 months ago with S4 playing that. It seems like such a good hero in the current way the game's played. Warcry giving so much bonus armor and movement speed, able to chase people down. The pretty much massive nuke and stun from him. And when you get a Blink Dagger on him, when you're playing solo mid, or you go for the movement speed with Wisp, he can pick off supports like nobody's business. And when you've got heroes like Mirana and AA who really do rely heavily on someone to have that initial burst and initial stun, I feel like he could be a really good matchup with these two heroes.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely very fair, and it's also pretty good against Slark, because Slark is largely physical damage. I mean, well, early on he's kind of burst magic, but like as it progresses, he's definitely heavily physical, as most carries are, but could definitely have some difficulty dealing with the Warcry, especially because he relies quite a bit on the Orb of Venom slow to maintain hits on people after the initial tether or pounce, whatever, latch, and Warcry would be good at getting away from that. So yeah, I think Sven definitely has some potential. Well, we saw that Alliance ran it a couple times, I think, during DreamHack, and they were the ones who loved Sven in the first place, so if anyone's going to bring it back, it's definitely going to be them.
Yeah, and they were running it when it was Magnus Sven and just critting people to death with the Darkseer. But I think, yeah, Warcry also chasing down Slark, but we'll wait to see what they do actually pick up.
So they do ban the Bloodseeker, the obvious counter to Slark, but the one thing is there is like the Ancient Apparition, which is also one of the best counters in the game against the Slark, so I'm not sure how the Slark is going to deal with this. I mean, He almost certainly, well, Shadowblade is so good against both Mirana and AA in the sense that you can make pickoffs, but it's also terrible for the Slark when dealing with an AA because, like, I don't know, a large part of the strength of the Shadowblade is that it, for him at least, that it's not just good at getting pickoffs, but it's also very good in the middle of team fights because you can Shadowblade and regain health and then come out with some burst. But obviously against the Ancient Apparition, you can't do that. And Abaddon, so they're like, oh my god, there's a Mirana on the other team. Let us pick everything that is good against it, and 3 melee, who cares?
This is like Goblak drafting right now. I think Goblak's replaced Seam in Bravado Emotion, Trian, Abaddon, and Slark. Russian Dota making his way into the South African team.
Yeah, I mean, wait, Russian? It's not Russia yet. It's still Ukraine. Come on.
Okay.
Give
Well,
Gavlak his country still.
The thing is, he plays with like 3 or 4 Russian
Yeah.
players. He is like the only Ukrainian, or he was.
Yeah,
OD now.
I just remember when he switched his name to something about like
Save
Russia
Ukraine.
leave Ukraine alone. Yeah, exactly. So it made me laugh a little bit. So yeah, I mean Ichigogo drafting pretty much as standard as we can imagine for them. So there's still the Darkseer, and obviously Darkseer's a decent choice. Now Slark, good and bad against Darkseer. Slark is melee, so he has some difficulty dealing with last hitting against the Darkseer, as we saw in the last game for Bravado Emotion. I mean, just takes a fair amount of harassment, ended up having to courier himself a salve, and ended up getting a bottle. But at the same time, Slark is good against Darkseer because if he can hit a pounce, then usually the Darkseer is not going to be able to get away and he is going to die. So, have to see. Darkseer obviously has a lot of synergy with both the A and the OD, so, I mean, if it's something they like, it still fits.
Yeah. Do you think we'll see dual lanes here from Bravado? Have Weaver, Abaddon offlane, and Slark Treant safe?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I mean, they had a lot of success with the dual lanes in the last game, so I think they'll want to go back to it. And I don't know, you can't say like tri-lane 3 melee.
Yeah.
They're just not going to be able to do anything against the offlaner.
Rubik again. Like, this is pretty much stock standard for Ichigo. These are 4 heroes that they're really comfortable with. The Mirana, on one hand, I'm wondering if it's going to be Gronas playing him. And then they have Inferno Koi playing that Darkseer offlane. But we could also see Inferno Koi going on the Mirana and then giving Gronas like a solo safe hero if they go aggro try. Rubik, AA, Mirana, 3 ranged heroes with Chilling Touch. Some great lockdown potential on the Slark and Treant.
Yeah, I think they have a really strong draft at this point. Also, 4 range against 3 melee certainly has some potential. They've definitely got some capacity to do some kiting here. And Rubik is excellent against Weaver, being able to steal Sakuchi. It's funny to me the ban on the Centaur, actually. I guess, again, just since they know they're going to have the 2 melee, they wouldn't be able to zone out Centaur at all, and they're kind of afraid of his presence as an offlaner, although Darkseer does the same thing. And also, like, Centaur's ultimate, to some extent, is very countered by Treant's ultimate, so, and also to some extent, Slark. So it's a little bit weird, I think, but I don't know. I guess, I mean, Centaur's still just a strong hero, and mostly it probably just has to do with the laning phase. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, also Slark and Weaver are great at escaping. They can pounce and shadow dance away for Slark, and then Shakuchi or time-lapse away from any aggression from that Stampede. But yeah, I agree. I think it's just the fact that they won't be able to zone him out with Treant and Slark alone there.
Yeah. So I guess now they're just looking for the Seam hero, and I'm not really sure what the Seam hero here is. The Invoker actually is still around, so it's possible to go for that. They don't really have a lot of synergy. Well, yeah, they don't really have any way to make Exort Invoker work. They could do Quas Wex, but Invoker gets crushed pretty hard by OD, so I don't think it'll be that. Viper's banned. I don't. Kunkka? Is it going to be a Kunkka? Last second Kunkka? Yep, there we go.
Yep. So how does this fit then? Is he going to go for that Torrent X and skip out the Tidebringer? Because that's what they need in these team fights, some kind of standard lockdown that's stable in these team fights. But then he also needs the Tidebringer to try and get last hits against the OD and harass him off the lane.
If I had to guess, I think it's probably going to be a. I mean, well, all right. It's probably going to be
1-2-2.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it's gonna be 1-2-2. Although I'm afraid that it might be 1-3-1, but I think it should probably be 1-2-2. The only thing is, usually when you go to 1-2-2, like the strength of it is the possibility to rotate and get a kill on the mid. But with Abaddon and Treant, that's probably. I mean, maybe with Treant it could happen, although it's pretty unlikely. So I think, to be honest, I'll probably just go 1-3-3 or 1-3-1, just because he doesn't really like. I don't know, getting the X sooner. It's not really going to transition to any kills, and I think the biggest weakness of this is they really have no capacity to deny or to defend towers. Like you said, lacking that team fight lockdown. So I think they really have to rely quite heavily on winning the laning phase, because if they get behind in the laning phase, they're just going to drop towers left and right.
Yeah, they've got almost no counter push potential. They've got Kunkka, Cleave, and Torrent, but that's pretty much it. They can, I guess, put Shield on creeps and try and push that way. But now, from Ichigo's team, what do you reckon? Nature's Prophet is still there. They
Yeah.
have 3 intelligence heroes, 1 agi hero. They've got no one who can sit on the front lines, really. So I don't know. That Darkseer has always played... Oh, they go for an axe against all these melee heroes, of course.
Yeah, Axe is definitely. I like that choice. Now the thing is, it almost forces them. So it's actually going to be a mid Axe.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, which makes sense against the Kunkka. And then they're just going to put the OD into the 1 position. So
And then
yeah,
aggressive tri-lane, I guess.
yep. Axe is a good choice just because he has a disable which Abaddon can't get rid of. He obviously is good against a bunch of melee. And it gives them some form of initiation, which they were solely lacking, other than basically like hitting an arrow. So that it really like just checks all those things perfectly.
Also, the fact that Weaver and Slark have relatively low HP pools, and his Culling Blade is going to swipe straight through them.
Yep. So the biggest thing for this line, I mean, so the aggressive tri line I think does make sense, but at the same time, it's going to leave the OD a little bit vulnerable to the Weaver plus Abaddon. Now, obviously, that's not an extremely strong killing dual lane, but I would say once they get level 2, level 3, there's definitely pretty easy potential to dive the OD. And I guess the best way to deal with that is just going to be a fast TP purchase on Rubik, which probably should allow the OD to be safe there.
Let's run over these teams. On the side of Ichigo, we've got Gronos on that OD, safe lane farming, Inferno Koi on that Mirana, Ichigo on the Axe looking towards solo mid, Watson's Water on the AA, and Antab on the Rubik. How are we looking over on the dire side?
Yeah, well, so we do have Flares going back in the offlane on the Weaver alongside Habibi, who will be playing the Abaddon. Seam will be going mid on the Kunkka. Got Ferrari 458, who will most likely be supporting Slark top, although who knows, maybe after the booty pick, we'll be seeing slightly different lanes. And we've got Donnie, aka Emotional Boys, who will be reprising his role of the Slark from his last match.
Now, something Knoxville was saying a while ago, a lot of South African teams like to go and contest the pool spot and make sure they assert their dominance down there, make sure they get the ward down, block off any pools. I don't think, of course, it's going to be too necessary if it's going to be OD, but we definitely see Ichigo's team coming to defend it quite heavily.
Yeah, and accordingly, Bravado Emo making the right decision of not going down there because they have a very weak level 1 fight, despite having a tree, compared to some of the things on Booty's side with Axe, you can grab Cole, and obviously the arrow. But yeah, the thing is, with having all these heroes down here, they're going to be like typically when you go 5 into your own jungle. Like, I mean, I guess it's just because they've seen what Knoxville talked about and they were like wanting to make a fight. But typically, if you go 5 into your own jungle, it means you're going to safe lane tri lane. And as we said, safe lane tri lane is a little bit suspect here. Maybe they really just want to secure Gron, because if they send Mirana offlane, like that's like Mirana's worst nightmare, having to offlane against a Slark. But she has boots too, so actually that looks like that's what's going to happen here.
Interesting. One set of tangos, Observer Ward, and boots first. Raging offlane, of course, you can get a pretty nice block. He's not gone for it, though. And usually what we see is when an offlaner wants to get boots first, they leave it on the courier, and they have their hero bootsless and block the creeps that way, because obviously it's a lot more efficient. You don't have the extra movement speed and do what he's doing now, getting too far ahead of the creeps, and then bring the boots to yourself on the courier. So right now his block isn't as great as it could be. How's the block up here from Slark? Pretty good.
Why doesn't he just tap S repeatedly to block?
Because it's not as efficient. Like, you've got to time it so... It's a lot more difficult to time when you've got higher movement speed and you've got to spam hold or stop. Whereas if you've got lower movement speed, you don't have to do as many actions. I don't know if I explained that as well as I could have.
I understood. It's not a problem. So we are going to just have the tree up here, doing stacking and pulling, trying to get experience. He has already taken armor at level 1, so this is going to be a very passive tree. Typically these days we do see the, well, he would at least wait to skill something, but I guess he's just already anticipated needing armor, most likely for that off lane, or potentially for the mid. So, yeah, I mean, Axe typically is known for crushing melees, but I think Kunkka should be just fine against that, and obviously being able to CS essentially from range, Tidebringer, and I think we'll definitely be seeing him max Tidebringer in this matchup.
Yeah, kind of weird that he's gone for Battle Hunger first. Usually from Axe mid we see the Berserker's Call, especially against the melee, trying to catch them in that creep wave and get as much damage on them as possible. And against the Tidebringer Kunkka, like you said, he's able to last hit creeps at ease. Apart from now, he's still going to get this last hit under 10. Oh, no, he doesn't.
Yeah, he couldn't actually get that one. That was very
Quite
unfortunate for him. Oh, yeah. Ooh, well, yeah, he got the Quelling Blade actually just in anticipation of going against the OD. But I definitely agree. This is a very old Axe skill build where Battle Hunger used to be very good, and these days it's not great. But I guess this is just like his way of luring Seam into the creeps. But Seam smart enough, just going to keep pulling creep aggro by right-clicking on the enemy hero and then walking back to his tower, making it a little bit easier for him to last hit. He is actually out of regen, but he's going to have his bottle and one more CS, which he's going to get quite easily here. I guess he's going to drop a little bit low. Oh, yeah, so now with no Tidebringer, that's so brutal. Rolling Blade, killing him twice now.
Now how are we doing on last hits and denies? Axe leading the charge, 13 for 1, 12 for 6 on the Slark, and 10 for 3 on this OD. And they've pushed this lane all the way up to the tier 1 tower. So that Observer Ward obviously proving a little bit too much for the Radiant side. Sentries were expended though. So Radiant did have sentries, but didn't deward their pull camp.
Yeah, they have one in the lane to deal with the Weaver, and I don't even know where the other sentry went. I guess maybe I guess it could have been dewarded by the Dire. Is there a sentry on either of these heroes? No?
Oh no, they just placed a second sentry.
Okay,
AA
had it. Okay. Yeah, so they actually are going to get rid of that, and just in time too, actually, so they will be able to pull this. So they're going to be looking pretty decently, despite a couple waves of not being able to pull him.
And just in range as well, I mean, that Observer Ward.
Yeah. It was a bit fortunate for sure. So meanwhile, Slark is actually leading the CS board overall, while Axe leading in last hits with Slark with 10 denies actually, and does get a latch actually on the Mirana, so going to be a little bit aggressive here. But Mirana just standing and fighting, and then leaps away when she can. But like I said, this is just like a time bomb for the Mirana. If she ever gets a little bit too low, or once Slark basically gets his treads and Orb of Venom, maybe in a lot of trouble here.
Ichigo getting quite lucky with the spins there. Now Battle Hunger again onto Seam. Nice call there to stop the last hit. You could actually go in for this. The creep wave just arriving.
Yeah, Seam is getting spammed quite hard here. So I guess the Battle Hunger build is actually working, despite the fact that, like I said, it is a little outdated since Battle Hunger was nerfed significantly when they made the other parts of Axe a little bit stronger. But Seam has been forced completely out of the lane by it, which I guess was actually a pretty good decision, because otherwise he would have more difficulty getting the spins.
Oh, in the Radiant jungle, Gron finds the Abaddon and uses the Astral. There's the shield. I think this is going to be his downfall, though. In comes that AA. First blood, but Antap is the second to fall. Sentry is in range, they can see him, but not for long enough. The Weaver, by the skin of his teeth, and Living Armor helping him regen up through. Does have 4 charges on his magic stick, so he's not in dire need of help.
Yeah, and that right there actually just proving how one small thing in a game can have big impact on other parts of the game. So the fact that the Axe is like kind of crushing Seam so heavily in mid, forcing a lot of regen to be used by the tree on the Kunkka, actually is the only reason there was no tree armor for the bottom. And if there had been tree armor for the Abaddon, that definitely would have been a first blood for Bravado rather than a first blood for Booty. So nice job by Ichigo in the mid. And they're going to go for a kill here.
Yeah, Ichigo is invis. There's the Battle Hunger, Battle Cry as well. Or Berserker's Call even. Not level 6 yet though, so he doesn't have the Culling Blade. They don't have quite enough damage to bring him down. If only Ichigo was level 6, they might be able to go for this. Living Armor, bottle through. Battle Hunger is going to be a real pain in the backside for him.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be able to bottle up just one charge, but he's going to be pretty low. I mean, he's not even going to be able to walk back up to the creep wave for fear of another Battle Hunger. So, yeah, he's just going to throw out a Torrent and walk back. It's a pretty painful life that this Kunkka's been reduced to. And how's AA's levels going? Yeah, level 3. I was going to say, I mean, if AA ever gets level 6, the Kunkka's really screwed. But, well, that's not going to happen for a long time, I guess, because of the aggressive dual lane.
What's the threshold on level 1 Culling Blade? 250.
Yeah, I mean, Kunkka's a strength hero, so he's got a pretty reasonable HP pool, and not going to be the easiest target for that, but if Ichigo continues at this pace, Kunkka's going to struggle. Although, I mean, I don't know, it seemed like Seam's been getting bullied a lot, but he's still done a very good job of actually picking up CS. I mean, he's actually almost behind Ichigo, despite, Ichigo really, seeming to dominate this lane.
Yeah, and he's only sort of, 40 experience behind, or 90 experience behind? He's basically level 6 as well. And he has gone for 1-3-1. At level 6, will he pick up the boat, or will he go for a second in X?
I think he'll pick up the boat, just probably because he wants that buff. Might end up saving his life against the Axe. Meanwhile, the Slark top already has the Orb of Venom up, basically has enough for treads as well now. And like I said, this is the time when Mirana really has to be careful. Now, unfortunately, she's still at full health, and I don't think the Slark can burst her down from that. Especially she has picked up a Magic Stick as well, which is very likely to keep her alive if Slark does decide to go on her. But still, like, the Slark can, now that he's level 6, almost just freely leap on her at some point, and, you know, force her out, do a little bit of damage. She's no more regen, and then the next time she comes back into the lane, if he can hit another leap, she's dead.
Oh, haste rune for Axe. This could spell disaster for the Kunkka. The next creep wave is on its way, halfway between tier 2 and tier 1. What's being delivered to Axe? Urn. It's 2 stout shields and Urn for the Axe. That's something you don't see every day.
Yeah, the Urn makes a little bit of sense since he wants to be really aggressive for his team. This double stout shields I typically don't agree with. It's pretty inefficient, although, I mean, I guess it also just kind of coincides with his desire for aggression because it's going to give him even higher effective HP. He also has a ward which he placed uphill here, so they're really prioritizing a lot on shutting down Seam, but the downside of this is that the Slark is 10 CS higher than the OD, and I don't know.
See aggression on the bot lane as well. Telekinesis onto the Abaddon, but Antap's going to be the first to fall. The shield explodes. Weaver doing plenty of damage here. Watson's Water having to back up, and Living Armor allowing the Weaver to keep on going. Heal, missed coil from the Abaddon, a couple more hits, but I don't think so. OD uses Astral to save himself, and Flair's going to lick his wounds and back out. That was one nice kill there. Dual lane against tri-lane, picking up 1 for 0.
Yeah, just underestimating the amount of damage that the shield does when it pops on top of 3 heroes. Oh, and meanwhile,
Mid lane.
starting man.
Axe in the middle of a creep wave. This is what I was talking about, finding that creep wave at the perfect time. A couple of nice spins, and BAM!
You get nothing. Good day, sir.
Yeah.
Listen to the nice little voice acting line from Axe.
So he does have the Urn up now as well, with 2 charges on it, which is going to just mean even more pressure for Steam if Steam comes back to this lane. But at the same time, like I said,
bot lane.
Oh, wow. Well, this
I
is
just managed to catch that. Yeah, it's just AA. Nothing big, but it's still gold in Weaver's pocket.
Yeah, that's very true. But, like, oh, it looks like, yeah, the tree is actually in mid now, and Axe is going for it again. It just does still have his ultimate up, the Urn coming out as well. Tree is going to throw out armor. Is he going to get in range for Leech Seed? But no, Ichigo is going to walk away a little bit too quickly. Seem actually could have X'd there. He could have done, like, the Mushi, the Torrent into X, which usually is going to guarantee a hit. But I still just think the Axe is way too tanky at 1k HP. They might have ended up just killing both of themselves if they went in there.
Now Mirana has moved off that top lane, like you were talking about, really wary of that Slark's kill potential on him. Does the Weaver... Oh, the Weaver with a bottle almost gets that regen.
Yeah, got to be sad about that because he just purchased up that bottle to allow him a little bit more staying power in this lane. But, I mean, still, he's gotten a fair amount out of this long lane. Obviously not as much as the OD, but it has been trialing against dual lane, so I'm sure Bravado are going to be happy with that. The biggest problem for them is just this Axe mid, who's really going to control the tempo of the next few minutes of this game until the Slark can really come online. And we've still yet to see what exactly the Slark's can go as far as item builds. Whether it is going to be that Shadow Blade again, despite it being pretty ineffective against an AA, whether he's going to go for something just like a straight into Scotty, or maybe even a Blink.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
And what do you feel about the Kunkka? Do you still go Phase Boots into Shadow Blade here?
I'd probably go Phase Boots Drum and then Shadow Blade, yeah. Well, I guess Shadow... Yeah, I would still probably do exactly that.
Middle tower is under attack.
Well, there you go, diving behind the towers here. There is Antap to aid him. But Antap doesn't want to get hit by that tower, so he's going to back off just a little bit. Bot lane, still pressure being applied. So much damage onto that tier 1 from that Weaver. Inferno leaps into the trees at top lane. Do they know?
Middle tower is under attack.
I didn't see... Did he leap from the bottom or the top?
He leapt from here and sort of turned around and then leapt into there. But I don't know if they saw the direction of his leap.
I guess not. I mean, they don't have any tangos, but they do have Slark, who could easily just jump in there. Although, I guess there's some amount of risk of him not hitting the exact same spot, but he can come out pretty quickly. Still, Leap's going to be back off cooldown in a few seconds, so successfully leech some XP. So, Axe, let's see, is he going to be going for a...
Blink.
Yeah, you think straight into Blink? Yeah, I guess that's going to be the order of the day. Taking down this mid tower very easily. There's going to be a TP in, but there's no glyph, so they're just going to lose the tower anyway, and the TPing in Weaver, it's not going to do enough.
Boat and Torrent miss as well, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's pretty painful. I mean, I'm surprised they didn't make that TP a little bit sooner. I think the call for it just came out a little bit late, because they probably could have actually at least denied the tower there just by having the Weaver TP in, since the Weaver is the one hero on their team who can actually kind of deal with the Kunkka. And Weaver's had a pretty good early game with a 201, despite not getting amazing CS. And the other thing is the Abaddon's actually almost level 6 compared to the supports on the Radiant, which are both level 4. Although, admittedly, both of their level 6s are a little bit more significant than the Abaddon's. Still, not going to hurt.
And there's 4 staff up on the OD. I don't know, he's just going to use this to, play defensively, farm as much as he can, escape from the Weaver, rather than trying to get into the faces of Bravado.
Yeah, he's definitely farmed well. No, obviously he had a tri-lane, and the downside for him isn't so much his farm, but it's just his levels. But he's still got level 7, just because the supports have been a little bit more absent, didn't pick much experience themselves, and they're going to be happy with that. Ooh, Axe coming in here. Weaver could be in a lot of trouble with the sentry down.
Weaver really had no chance, did he?
No,
No chance at all.
Yeah, well, it was a little bit unfortunate, though, because they actually had the obs down. Now, I don't know, I guess, no, Axe, yeah, he does have a bottle, so it could have been a bottled Invis rune from top. I didn't actually pay that much attention. Or was that an Invis rune that he picked up bottom?
I didn't see.
Yeah, but, I mean, it's very possible that it wasn't Invis rune from bottom, but that the Weaver was just kind of tunnel visioning a little bit. Oh, Seam, you gotta be careful here. So this is what I talked about, though. Like, if Bravado Emo lost one of their lanes, which they did, they're now risking, like, just falling over.
Really nice torrent flow. The Berserker's Call catching that Weaver. He's going to TP out. There are no stuns remaining. Do they have enough DPS? Oh! Just about. The tower still goes down, and Weaver is on the chase. Bugs are up on Antab. Plenty of right-click damage coming here. Antab, telekinesis just in range of that sentry ward. Torrent going to catch the Rubik. Yes! One more hit from Seam. Can you reach there? The slow, the salve, the X. Weaver's in here. Shield is up. A couple more clicks. Down goes the Rubik. So they successfully get 2 kills. They do lose that tier 1 at bot. And in the meantime, Slug is going unchecked from the top lane.
Yeah, and Weaver does need to be a little bit careful here, though. Has almost overextended, but he's going to manage to get out of there. That could have been a little bit risky, diving under a tower like that, not knowing where the Mirana is when the OD can astral you. I think that was a pretty low percentage play, but didn't end up getting punished for it. Now, Mirana, who has thought she snuck down here, but really has actually been detected, is going to look for something, but the Torrent misses, and she's just going to get 4-stepped out by the OD and be perfectly fine. But, ooh, top tower is in deny range. Slark, unfortunately, is going to lose that, and he has gone back to the Shadow Blade this game.
Well, Slug is coming back in for this tower. Rubik has to be careful. Slug using Shadow Dance. Rubik gets the deny. And now in comes Axe. Has the Berserker's Call, catches him. The Living Armor allowing him to sustain a little bit through here, but the Urn, and here comes the Culling Blade, possibly pounce across. Can they actually catch him? One more hit down. There goes the Culling Blade. Low HP pool on Slug. Ends up being his downfall.
Yeah, that's pretty bad, because Bravado are going to rely quite heavily on Slark, and slowing down his Shadow Blade by a minute or two, which is what that kill's going to accomplish, is going to be rather painful for him. And meanwhile, mid, Tree, eating an arrow, going down. Is level 7, though, I guess, which is definitely a high point, although now the AA and the Rubik both have level 6, which is going to spell some problems for Bravado. Obviously, being able to steal Sakuchi, that Rubik is going to be a big nuisance, and the AA shutting down the Rubik, or shutting down the Slark is also going to be equal problem.
Yeah, I think the gold difference here, there's very little in it so far, but that's mainly because the Slark has been farming so well on his top lane, managing to get the tier 1 tower top. Then the tier 1 tower bot for Radiant fell as well. So they've got some towers, underhand. And then the supports haven't been farming as well. I mean, that was a great point you made, that the Abaddon and Treant are both really high level for this time in the game in comparison to the Radiant supports. But what will they accomplish? Because they have very limited mobility. Do they start to look for diving behind towers with a Weaver? Do they try and farm up the Slug and Weaver? Because these two Agi heroes really do rely on playing aggressively, and their mobility is the key to them.
Yeah, I think the first thing that's going to be the order of the day is going to be a Roshan for the Dire, giving it to Slark, which is going to make it a little bit easier for Donnie to play the way Donnie likes to, and we can see that the Abaddon, well, I'm afraid that that's going to be an Urn, but I really hope that that's going to be Medallion, because Medallion is what they really need here. But yeah, it's just going to be all having to do with this Slark Shadow Blade timing, which is going to be coming out in just a few seconds here, and once he
Arrow
has that,
flies across. Not going to find anyone.
he's going to start looking for kills, which is pretty much, yeah, like you said, their only form of initiation. They really lack anything else other than, I guess, the Tonka, but he's so far behind on items.
So for the Treant, do you go for the mech and try and sustain in these team fights? Because you do have quite a lot of heal with Mist Coil and Living Armor and Leech Seed. Or do you look for that form of initiation with Blink Dagger?
Yeah, I think it's got to be the blink. My fear with the Treant, even though he has the arcanes, is that you might not even have enough mana after getting hit with the Sanity's Eclipse.
Mid lane. Ice Blast already targeted. Axe using the call. Torrent. Boat. TP out from Seam. Really well played. He's going to escape here. In comes the Weaver looking for some damage onto Axe. Will the spins be his downfall though? Slug. Can he get the pounce off? Just missing. Dark Pact not going to do quite enough damage. Call from Axe. Ichigo on the back foot here, definitely. And here comes the dive from these two heroes. This is what I was talking about. No fear whatsoever.
Well, maybe should have been a little bit afraid of that arrow, but just narrowly missing there. And yeah, I mean that is the advantage of having these two Goblack supports, as you put it, the Abaddon and the Tree. I mean, these two cores can be as aggressive as they'd like to be. Now, I think they're probably
Arrow narrowly missing an Ice Blast off the mark. Antab steals Shikuchi, so he's able to escape. OD Astral onto the Weaver. Now Living Armor. Where's that Slug hiding? Up on top lane. Watson's Water's going to go down here, trying to TP out. I saw Slug making a movement around here. I thought he'd loop around the back, but instead he goes for that easy kill on top lane.
And the real bad news for Ichigogo there is Ichigo actually bought back on the Axe to try to do something against the Weaver mid, but didn't end up getting anything out of it, which, like, I don't know, it's not a huge deal. Axe is definitely a snowball hero, though, so, I mean, he needs to not lose gold in order to continue to be effective, but at the same time, I mean, he's pretty far ahead, and he's kind of already doing as much as you can expect. I mean, looks like his next item is going to be an Aghanims, which honestly isn't that big of a deal.
Yeah, I've never understood the Ags after Blink. I much prefer to see, you know, point Vitality Booster to start off your heart and go to something like Blade Mail. Oh dear. And here it begins, Slark finding pickoffs left and right.
Yeah, I agree with you 1,000%. I think it's also kind of inefficient, and I definitely like your progression a lot more. I think it definitely scales better, and I don't really know that the Aghanims is even just like that good of an item on the Axe. I mean, maybe really late game, but even then. But yeah, so like I said, this is, even though the Slark is obviously not great against an AA, he's just has such an easy time finding pickoffs on the AA and the Mirana, and to a lesser extent as well the Rubik. So I don't know, that's going to give them a lot of map presence since they've already taken these two tier 1s, especially the one down in the Radiant jungle. I mean, look at the Radiant, they're not in their jungle at all, other than the OD who's very close to his tier 1 tower mid, which also makes sustaining this tier 1 in the mid so important for the Radiant right now, so they don't lose.
It's a fighting, it's a fighting.
Sorry, did I hear something?
I don't know, I heard something about if you want
Torrent
to watch the
boat
UK get snailed.
Berserker Call, not going to save him though. Leech Seed, these heroes just absolutely dominating right now.
Yeah, and this is where, there's going to be convergence on the bottom, so.
Shikuchi telekinesis onto the, oh, nice arrow! That Eclipse drop, but that time lapse going to take him right back up to full HP. And OD is one of these heroes that we haven't seen much from this game. He had decent item progression early on, and he's going into that relatively early hex. He'll have that 25 minutes in if he continues at this rate. But what does he offer apart from hex? Because he's going to get locked down relatively easily, and he's easy to pick off with only 1,000 HP. He can't force staff out of that leash from Slug.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, I guess what he really offers for them is just if they get a good initiation with the Axe. I mean, Axe, Blink, Call into like 1 or 2 spins, plus the OD Ultimate will kill any of these low HP heroes. Except for well, I mean, obviously not the Abaddon. But I guess that's really what they gotta be hoping for. And, Weaver playing with fire there. Axe just kind of missing his Blink there. I guess he thought the Weaver would go straight back, but instead the Weaver took an angle that kind of went up a little bit.
Well, Slug is invis here. Dire Observer Ward does get placed. There's a sentry there, so that spots out the Slug in Shadowblade.
Yeah, they knew that there was actually a sentry there because they actually spotted the Weaver when he used the Invis rune. They've got to be careful here. I mean, that one sentry is doing so much for the Radiant right now.
Telekinesis into Berserker's Call, arrow as well, flares, caught completely out of position, gets slammed by the Culling Blade. Slug using his ultimate, nice torrent boat, taking down the Axe, but Ice Blast hitting 2. Slug might be in a bit of trouble if he takes too much more damage, he might tick over, and Seam being left alone by the rest of his teammates. Abaddon on the back foot, Treant and Slug both making a hasty retreat. Arrow gonna fly across, will that catch anyone? Might just hit the Abaddon, no! Just avoiding that. Torrent does get thrown out as a defensive tool. And now this AA, he's basically sitting as a core, farming a lane and just throwing out Ice Blast as often as he can. They are going to rely so heavily on that Aghanims once these heroes are, pushing behind these tier 2s. They're already threatening to do it. standing in front of the tier 2s, trying to pick fights. But once they get an opportunity to, loop around behind tier 2s and come through the Radiant jungle, like you were saying, they've got some pretty good aggressive wards already.
Yeah, their warding definitely indicates what exactly they want to do for the next stage of this game, and it's kind of an obvious strategy, but still a strong one. And you're right. I think it's really good that they've done this on the AA, that they've let him, get so much space to catch up on his items, because that Aghanims, like, once he has that Slark, he's just going to have the worst game of his life. And furthermore, Abaddon and Tree both also rely on healing, which gets shut down significantly by that Ancient Apparition. Players need to be a little bit careful here as the combo is coming up. But at the same time, I don't know, the Radiant, now that they've lost all 3 tier 1 towers, just have to be so scared to not go in a group. And if they
Link
go in a
from
group,
Axe. There's the Berserker's Call. Can they actually finish off this? No, they can't. Not a long enough duration on that. Only level 2. And this is what I was saying before. Battle Hunger, and you mentioned it as well, is good, and it dominated the lane for him. But at this stage in the game, they need that extra, second or so of disable.
Yeah, Berserker's Call, since the change to Battle Hunger, I don't really think you ever get more than 1 point in it for most of the game, until later on, I guess, when you just kind of spam it in team fights and stuff like that for the movement speed and the debuff. But, going back in. And this time, they're actually going to get the Weaver. There should be a chop. Yeah, so Weaver escaped once, got a little bit careless, and then gets caught the second time. And meanwhile, the rest of Bravado haven't actually gotten anything anywhere else on the map. We actually see 3 BKBs coming out. Now, I definitely like the decision by Seam to go for a BKB. Another Shadow Blade would probably be not a very good choice when there's already a fair amount of invisibility on his team. And obviously, he was pretty far behind. It's kind of another snowball item, so the BKB is a good choice for him. But Slark and Weaver also going for BKBs.
Oh, Inferno Coil leaping before the Torrent hits. We do see the Axe going in using Berserker's Call. Torrent stolen by the Rubik, catching 2. Senni's Eclipse. Absolutely massive damage, but Abaddon going to be able to heal through that. Slark finds a pick-off in the back end of play on the Mirana, who is trying to escape. A Berserker's Call onto the tree. Slark pounces over, slam onto that tree, and Ice Blast catching 2. Can they actually find any follow-up damage? It doesn't look like they can. That OD going to the north rather than following the rest of his teammates to find those 2 heroes.
Yeah, he chased after the Abaddon, but the Abaddon managed to CP out, hiding in a tree. It's a nice little juke there by HBV. And so, that was actually a dream situation for Booty. I'm going to keep calling them that, because if they want to name or put that as their tag, then that's what they're going to get. But where Bravado tried to make a movement on the Mirana in mid, and actually ended up getting caught themselves by the Axe, who had a great position on them, was able to get 3-man call. If they just had an A ult plus the Sanity's Eclipse all at the right time, they could have absolutely wiped Bravado there. Unfortunately, Sanity's Eclipse was a little bit late, and they didn't have the AA ultimate on time. But still, should have been a pretty good fight for them. But it's just I don't know, Booty have to be so careful in these extended fights about letting the fight get separated and having their heroes get picked apart, because heroes like Weaver and Slark are amazing at that, and they've got great supports for sustaining a fight as well too. Basically the only hero on Bravado that actually wants to fight straight up is pretty much just the Kunkka. Everyone else is all predicated around kind of drawing things out. So I don't know, Booty really have to make smart calls about when to pull back from continuing to engage.
Yeah, it's basically a Kunkka looking for that opening, and then everyone else playing guerrilla warfare, hiding, darting between the trees, looking for, little openings here and there. That Slark finding the Mirana after the first engagement, finding the kill there, then rejoining the rest of his teammates to stop the aggression over here, that was a great play.
Yeah, the Slark's definitely had really good awareness about where he should be. Donnie's been playing exceptionally tonight, actually. Played really well in the first game, obviously, as well. And is now sitting at pretty reasonable 6-1. Not as exceptional as he had a score in the last game, but still looking pretty good. Take a look at the gold graph. We've got a 3k gold, 5k experience advantage for the Dire. It doesn't really mean that much at this stage in the game. But I would still say Bravado's winning, not so much because of that gold difference, but more just because of the pace and the momentum of the game right now, which is really seeming to favor Bravado, and Booty kind of feel a little bit on the back foot. They're just trying to farm up this OD to get a Hex, and then once they have the Hex and the OD, I guess they'll be trying to have a little bit more confident fighting, but like you said, I'm not sure that'll actually be enough.
Especially with 3 BKBs. You mentioned that earlier, but Weaver's just completed his. That Ice Blast, the initial burst damage isn't going to work. The trail will still be there. OD Sanity's Eclipse, damage completely mitigated. Then there's the Rubik and Mirana, who heavily rely on Starstorm, Arrow, and Fade Bolt. What will Ichigo's team actually be able to do, bar getting in there with a big Berserker's Call and catching 3 or 4 of them and try to nuke them down instantly?
Yeah, that's a very good point. They really don't have anything. They have to have the initiation to win fights at this point, I would say, against Bravado. Fortunately, they do have good initiation with the axe, as well as having the Mirana ultimate, so it's going to depend quite a bit on that. But it was a little bit questionable game sense there by the AA. He sent an ultimate mid, actually, when there was like no Bravado heroes visible anywhere on the map, and typically around then you would be sending an ultimate to Roshan. If he'd hit Roshan, it actually might have discouraged Bravado from continuing there, because a few of them were actually quite low, and they actually relied on the heal from the Treant to keep them up. But
were there dire creeps at mid when he sent it? So he's really close to his Ags.
yeah, there were dire creeps at mid, so I kind of understand why he did it, but it's just a shame. But he does have his Ags now. I mean, he's going to sell this branch, sit in shop for a few seconds, and then pick up... No, he's going to walk out? Okay. I would have stayed there.
He's going for 100% efficiency.
Yeah, he really wants that GG
He
branch.
doesn't want to waste the 25 gold.
Ugh. Well, he has level 2 ultimate as well as the Aghanims basically now, so it's gonna really deter any sort of push from Bravado. I mean, Bravado can't win a straight up 5-on-5 engagement, the sort of one that would tend to break out around a tower like this. So
Did Bravado have a gem or anything?
No, I don't think so.
So Moonlight Shadow is going to catch them completely off guard. No sentries, no gem, no way to see where Ichigo's team are coming from.
Yeah, they've only got the dust, which is more of a reactionary thing. I agree. That's a pretty big oversight, actually, to not have a sentry on anyone. The courier actually is out. Okay, the courier just brought a giant chunk of sentries.
Okay. Point made. Well done. And then one gets placed instantly. They know. They know. Axe still going to go for this two-man call. Arrow does hit, but Slark already in there. Antap down. Big damage to Cliff, catching 3. So many low HP heroes. BKB's popped left, right, and center. Flair's going to have to try and back out here. No more casualties as of yet. Inferno trying to leap out, but nice pounce there by Slark, catching him. Double kill and a monster kill streak. Now Aghanims is still going. Oh, Weaver does actually tick out from that. The Abandoned Shield going to save that Kunkka. I can't believe Weaver actually died there.
Yeah, it was such a sad day for the Weaver, because he just had to stand there. Like, he had his ultimate and everything, but he couldn't go fight. Yeah, but that's what I was wondering, but I think since Flares is obviously no better than I do, you can't, ultimate's not going to regain health when you have the AA ultimate on you. Although, I actually thought that it did, but based on the fact that Flares was standing there and not using it, I have to assume that it doesn't. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it does, because it reverts you to a previous state.
I honestly thought that it did as well, but I don't know. I mean, I'm going to assume that Flares knows, but I don't know. Maybe.
Because, I know 100% the trail stays on you, so you're going to shatter.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Well, I mean, still, obviously a good fight for Bravado, despite losing the Weaver. Once again, Slark making quite a few plays, and he's well on his way to what I assume is going to be a Scotty, although I guess it could be a Butterfly as well. I mean, Butterfly would be pretty backbreaking for that OD.
I don't know who's OD trying to focus down with his Hex, because that Slark, he's going to be using Shadow Dance, going to be using BKB. It's going to be very difficult to lock him down and use that Hex before he initiates upon you. And you can just see that Rubik is the first port of call. Straight into that Rubik, down his throat. And within a second and a half, he's dead. Smoke here from Ichigo, looking for an opening. Going to go through that dire jungle, most likely try and find someone in this area.
I think they might find the Avedon, but no, actually, yeah, they're going to wrap all the way around the top, so... going to take the long path, which means, well, I guess maybe they're just going to end up settling for the tier 1 tower top, but Bravado will probably happily trade that for the tier 2 in mid. Now the thing is, Bravado, do have to be a little bit careful here, because this, it's very easy for them to get engaged on from up here by the axe, so they've got to be really careful with the way they're pushing. You can see their positioning in this mid lane, feeding exactly that fact that they really don't want to have a 5-man fight break out where 2 or 3 heroes get called. And, yeah, looks like this is going to end up in a tower trade. And like I said, I think the towers don't matter near as much for Bravado as they do for Ichigo. And Ichigo actually understand this, so they're going to TP back, but I'm not sure if they can defend. They do have Flip, though.
And both teams looking to bait, really, there. We had the sort of Abaddon and Slark sitting on the right-hand side, just trying to bait out a hero at mid who's farming. But on the top lane, we had those 5 guys smoked up there, waiting for someone to TP back and farm. So both heroes sort of playing quite sort of standoffish.
Well, and Slark's going to go in here. Shadowbladed up, but there is already a sentry down for the Radiant, so they're prepared for this. Slark hopefully doesn't get a little bit too greedy.
Oh, he's going to find Rubik. Nice Astral, going to save him, but only for now. That Slark's going to finish him off. No! Pounces up to the high ground and Rubik survives.
You actually got 4-staffed up to the high ground by the OD. Yeah, nice play by the OD, saving the Rubik's life there.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
Gronas with the plays.
Radiant's
Yeah,
bottom
I mean,
tower
he's played very well in this tournament, but still, Bravado get that tower. And like I said, I mean, the more towers they take, the less space that Ichigo have to be on the map, and it's just going to be harder and harder for them to farm. They're going to get more and more starved out by this Slark. You kind of just have a fear of going anywhere against him. And yeah, they lose the tier 2 bottom. They might even lose this tier 2 top before they can come defend it. We'll have to see.
Take a look at the Weaver. He knows that he doesn't necessarily need more damage, he just needs to sustain more through these team fights. Going towards a heart straight up. Ice Blast going to hit the Slark, but he's going to respawn. Axe actually goes in here and calls onto that Weaver. Can they do enough damage for him to tick out from the Ice Blast? Arrow not going to hit. The BKB comes straight up on the Kunkka. Axe is going to fall. Boat does get used, and Inferno Koi is in a lot of trouble. Leaps out, no pounce from the Slark. And Gronas getting completely caught out there. Axe, 3-man call. But I don't think they have enough damage here. They're just getting pushed back. Kunkka has actually used X Mark on himself, goes back to take that tier 2 tower down. And Mirana, godlike and double kill for that Slark.
Bravado Emo showing that when they play serious, they can take down some of the top UK teams. Now going on into the base, X Marks is going to guarantee that this Rubik dies, no matter what he steals. And, well, Bravado Emo looking a little bit scary. I mean, they took apart FLN, and oh, well, not over yet. All right.
I mean, this Slark has been a key component of their play recently, though. In the past couple of games, their Slark play has been absolutely dominant. They know exactly when he needs to stop farming and join team fights, how to enter and engage fights with him, what supports to use to really utilize his ability.
tower is under attack.
Oh, Axe using Sucker's Call. Oh, slams down that tree. And
All must die.
so tier 3 still stands.
So, Axe, you know, he's going for the Aghanim's, and he's still going for that. I mean, like, this guy had such an exceptional early game, but he's had 1 or 2 buybacks. No, at least 2 buybacks so far this game, and oh, well, he's going to maybe pick up his Kunkka here. I think Kunkka's going to go down. Ice Blast actually missing, and Kunkka's just going to BKB up and run away. Wow, call missing as well. I don't think if he'd gotten the call that he actually would have gotten the kill there, though, because there were... Well, he does actually have a creep wave with him. Clark can
Slark
pounce
not
on
gonna
him.
kill. Oh.
That was a
About
dream
80
foil.
health.
Yeah. So, Slark has his Scotty now as well, and that's... I don't know. I don't know what Ichigo can really do at this point. They're kind of continuing to fall back in the OD. OD will have BKB at some point, but probably not going to be enough.
Well, he's looking towards a BKB now. He has had that Ogre Club for a while, and this is a scenario that Ichigo has been in for the good 10 minutes. We said, what, 10 minutes ago, that what they needed was Ichigo to get in there with a nice Berserker's Call on Axe, then slam BVD into the ground. But it just hasn't happened. BVD have had great awareness of their positioning, where they need to be, which heroes to pick off. And when Rubik isn't there to do Fade Bolt telekinesis multiple times in the team fight, they lose so much potential of lockdown and damage.
Yeah, I mean, the last couple fights that they've started both times, it's began with Axe jumping and calling, but then like walking backwards, like not really prepared to fight. And I think actually part of that comes down to his item choice. Like if he'd had a blade mail, then he could, you know, jump in call and he wouldn't need to like feel obligated to move back. Secondly, it just means that his team hasn't really been in position. And maybe that's just kind of like, I don't know, a bit of hesitance from Ichigo here, not to, like, I don't know, maybe they're just a little bit afraid to engage against these heroes. I mean, Tree and Abaddon, 2 of the best counter-initiation supports in the game, and both obviously also an excellent counter-initiation ultimate. So I think maybe they're just a little bit indecisive about what they should be doing, but I don't, like, I think that well, I don't think, I know that the Axe has the right idea. I mean, they have to initiate and do something in team fights, because, like, playing this game where they're just farming essentially in one corner of the map, it's not ever going to lead to them getting a victory here. So if they don't do something soon, team fight wise, the clock's going to tick out for them.
Especially now Roshan is up, Heart is completed on the Weaver, so these 2 core heroes which had low HP pools no longer do. That Culling Blade is definitely losing its efficiency and ability to take these guys down. Well, what are we looking at? 2,300 HP on the Slark, and what about that Weaver? 2,388 on him. So they've got really high HP pools, great sustainability. The only way they can really do it is if they catch them before they get BKBs off in a big Berserker's Call. But that's never going to happen with these guys. They know far too well that if they have the Weaver, the Kunkka, and the Slark all in one position where they can get called, they've done something seriously wrong.
Yeah, And speaking of the Kunkka, he actually has a Daedalus too, so his damage is starting to get real. Roshan going to be a little bit delayed by this Ice Blast, obviously quite an annoyance for the Slark, but at the same time, there's not really any way that Booty can contest this, and they're going to use Imran Ultimate, but there's a sentry down, anyone here, and I think they kind of have an idea that there might be a sentry down, so just scouting with an arrow. Actually, you take down the sentry, I assume that means a gem up on someone?
No,
Yeah,
that
Imran
has a
actually
gem.
has a gem. And, well, delaying the Roshan, which is good, and I guess the good thing for them is they have actually got a wave that should be pushing mid and pushing top, so,
Well, look at this. Smoke from Bravado. The line was drawn to come around the side, so Ichigo might think they're still in that Roche Pit or trying to farm Ancients. Ice Blast is going to scout it out, so they know they aren't in that Roche Pit anymore. Will they figure it out and back up? Antab is in a pretty rough position. They are grouping up as 5. Can they get out of here in time? They've got no Moonlight Shadow. Slark is on the hunt. He's invis. He's got Shadow Blade. Pounce not going to reach. Antab steals. Can he actually get out of here? Dark Pact cancelling that arrow, dispelling it instantly. And now Antab got the Dark Pact as well, but he's going to be the first to fall, continuing to put kills into the bag of Slark, who TP's down to mid. 3 TPs to mid. They don't want to lose another tower.
yeah, and most of these will just go immediately to Roche, but A is going to know that, and they're going to send another Aghanim's Ultimate there as soon as possible. Still, I think, well, honestly, Ichigogo are probably still in a position where they can contest this for now. Even though the A is top, obviously, his presence isn't that important. Rubik, well, unfortunately, without a tier 2 tower mid, isn't going to be able to TP, but I still think the Ice Blast is just going to slow down Bravado a little bit too much. They're not going to feel comfortable taking this. Although the tree could probably go in and tank now. Still, well, they're going to go back in once the Ice Blast wears off. And yeah, it looks like Ichigo aren't going to contest this. I mean, Axe is starting on to farm Ancients, so this is going to be free Roshan for the Dire, and that's going to be their ticket to go high ground.
I'm being told that you can't time-lapse through AL to gain HP.
Okay, yeah.
So I guess the way it's coded, it's technically healing.
Yeah, just like with Morphling, when he morphs strength, he actually doesn't gain any health when he's A-ulted. So yeah, Flares knows what he's doing. Ben?
And that was Danny D. So Danny D is greater than Ben.
Yeah, Danny D is greater than Ben.
How do you feel, Knoxville?
Dire's top tower is under attack.
He's not even here.
Yeah, he's dodging. He's
not
clearly
listening to
dodging.
trolling.
Just like he's been dodging his Twitter for a little while. Although, I guess this is like Return of the Empire, isn't it? Like, the second episode is Knoxville's comeback.
Is that tomorrow when I'm not here? I
Yeah,
have to go and do other things, so Knoxville comes back.
Well, no, like today is Knoxville. Today is Return of the Empire. Or, no, Return of the... Yeah. No, the
Return
Empire
of the
Strikes
Jedi?
Back. Yeah. No, tomorrow's Return of the Jedi. I was just getting the names mixed up now because I was thinking of tomorrow as well. Today is the Empire Strikes Back because today Knoxville's winning, but then tomorrow will be Return of the Jedi. But then you won't be here, so like, I don't know, maybe the Force will be weak.
I get taken down by Darth Vader. I am actually Obi-Wan.
Oh, so the downside for Bravado Hemo is they do have a very bad going high ground lineup, and they're against very good high ground defense with the Axe, the OD.
Oh, unless OG gets caught out like this. Uses Astral to try and dodge everything. Ice Blast's going to land. Torrent doesn't hit because of the extended duration of the Astral. Both even missing, and both BKBs popped here by Slark and Kunkka. They continue the chase. Berserker's Call going to catch the Slark out just to defend the OD. Big hit from the Tidebringer and Kunkka. Both gets stolen by the Rubik, but hits absolutely no one. Telekinesis is going to try and save people, but Gron still going to fall down. 4 men diving behind the racks there, while the Treant is sitting there hitting the tier 3. OD did buy back in here. Axe actually blinks in, slams down that Slark. Can actually continue on this because Slark now full HP, Shadow Blades up, looking for an opening. Inferno Coil might be in a lot of trouble. And a Pounce going to take him down with relative ease, but the OD Astral again. It's a big place from Gron saving his teammates, and Berserker's Call, down goes that godlike Slark. The AEL manages to tick over, and Abaddon, oh, the big slice from Seam on that Kunkka. Both going to be used just for the debuff. Can actually chase this down. Berserker's Skull going to catch the Weaver. They don't quite have enough damage, but the Hex, that's going to help out quite a lot. Weaver, how much mana do you have? Just enough for Shikuchi. Just with about 60 HP escaping, but Astral now, who have they got here? Seam, Berserker's Call, and one more slam. Nope, it's on cooldown. No mana. Can't slam the Kunkka.
Huge buyback from Groners there, turning that one around for his team, saving Rax completely. So, big play by him. Unfortunately, it's going to delay his BKB anymore, although, to be perfectly honest, I think he only ended up losing about 500 gold there in the end, after the buyback, just because of the kills that happened afterwards. So, Gonna be relatively happy with that, obviously, considering that they managed to hold high ground and they got rid of the Aegis. And like I said, Bravado Emo have a very bad high ground lineup, so without an Aegis, I'm not sure how sure they're going to be about doing this. They're going to lose their tier 1 top, which means they have no more tier 1s left, reduce their map control a little bit, and I don't know, they might actually have to wait for the next Roshan to actually go high ground, at which point the OD definitely going to have his BKB, and I guess Mirana at some point is going to start to deal damage. Mirana really hurting.
At some point. Speaking of BKBs, what's that? 5-second BKB now on the Kunkka, 7 seconds on the Weaver and the Slark. So their BKBs are being whittled down slowly but surely, and once they hit 4 seconds, it's going to be easier for the OD to just, wipe them off the face of the map.
Slark is hunting though now. There's no gem, so he's actually going to catch someone. But unfortunately, OD is not a great target to catch.
Oh, the Dark Pact!
That spell's pretty broken.
That's absolutely ridiculous. The amount of times I've played Bat Rider and tried to go to Lasu's Slark and then he just Dark Packs out of it.
Yeah, Scant actually has a very good point about Dark Pack, which is that maybe it shouldn't affect Hex, like the item Hex specifically, or just Hexes, just because, like, I don't know, it's just kind of so stupid, because Hex, it's like, it's such an important late game item in allowing people to kill other people, and the fact that, like, you can just completely nullify Hex with this stupid 6-second cooldown ability just, like, makes it, like, don't get me wrong, Slark is definitely not overpowered, but, like, he feels this, and I tend to agree. I think it's just kind of like a bad mechanic that he can't be hexed, essentially.
Yeah. I guess the thing is you have to preemptively Dark Pact, and hexes are instant cast.
Yeah,
so
but at the same time, like, you pounce and Dark Pact when you go in, so, like, I mean, what do? Then, like, after that, he's gonna use his ultimate, and then he has Dark Pact coming out of the ultimate as well, so...
And then BKB.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, I don't know, if you catch him, like, maybe, but you really have to, like, I don't know, I guess Puck, like, blink Hex, but I don't know, depending on the fingers of the Slark, it would still always be possible for him to do it. So just, I don't know, it can definitely be really obnoxious to deal with, as you said, especially on Bat Rider.
Ichigo does have enough money to finish Ags, but obviously buyback at this stage of the game much more important. He's been sitting on the same items for a good 20 minutes or so. Such a massive impact in the early game, and it has fallen off. I mean, Berserker's Call has been big, don't get me wrong, but he hasn't had that same impetus.
Yeah, I mean, the Axe is definitely more of an early to mid-game hero, so it's not surprising that he hasn't had the same impact. I mean, at this point in the game, he's basically Berserker's Call, and that's it. Although, still, if he'd had that Blade Mail, I mean, with all the BKBs that eventually came out, it wouldn't have been great, but for a while it would have been really good. And, I don't know, Blade Mail's also a very nice item against the Kunkka, so it definitely had some potential, but, meanwhile, mid, catching Abaddon. Poor guy.
Yeah, but can they actually kill him? They don't have enough burst. Oh! Yeah. Actually, they do.
So,
his ultimate actually went on to cooldown, but I guess they had enough damage to take him over.
They didn't actually get the chop. I guess it was just the AA ultimate which actually shattered him, which shatters through the Abaddon ultimate. But that's funny because...
It says OD got the kill, which is what I was surprised about.
Yeah, just because, like, when people shatter to the AA, the last person that hit him gets credit unless they're, like, actually taking it down. But yeah. Well, it's kind of like I said, Bravado just going to wait for the next Roshan before they actually do something. And Ichigo, I guess, understand that they have the potential to do something. Well, using a Mirana ultimate, I think they're actually spotted there.
Well, what do we see now? Who's at mid? There's Seam on the Kunkka, standing on his lonesome. He's not actually moving. Oh, okay, he's backing up now towards the tier 2, but they're going to go for a movement into the dire jungle. There's Slark over here, pouncing over to the camp there, going to look towards pushing top lane. The Treant going to go invis, so I think they do have some feeling that Ichigo's around. And they buy a smoke of their own on that courier. They're grouping up here.
Yeah, I mean, there's some, like, the thing is, Ichigo have been playing so passively, and so, well, defensively, as 5, for the last 15 or 20 minutes of the game. I'm not sure the smoke has a lot of potential for a pick-off. The only heroes who've really been out very far is typically just Gron, and Gron has a lot of defensive ability against the Slark, but still, I guess it's possible. The problem, more or less, for Bravado is that they've got no... I mean, they have no Hex themselves. They have no, like, instant initiation, which works very well. Like, they have X into Torrent, which is obviously good initiation, but not very good against an OD. They've got the Pounce, but again, not very good against OD.
Well, Slark picks up a Blink Dagger. The Treant is about 200 away from his. So this initiation, which they've been desperately in need of for the past, 20 minutes, they're getting now.
Yeah, Slark actually went, so he's just going casual Talisman of Evasion, which will eventually later be a butterfly, but like I said, it's a pretty good choice because there's no, I mean, Mirana is a natural MKB carrier, but Looks like she's going for probably Deso, although Deso, a lot of not synergy with the rest of her team, so maybe that's just going to be a BKB, or, yeah, I think it's going to be BKB, so she's a long way from an MKB, and also MKB on OD, it's doable, but it's usually not the direction you want to be going.
Yeah, I don't think Maelstrom or Deso are really going to do anything for her here. She wants to try and survive, or just at least be able to get out of the pounce from Slark.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but she still just has no damage. I guess I did forget about the fact that it could be Maelstrom, although I don't think Maelstrom is, like, this isn't really the position in a game you want a Maelstrom for. It's usually when you're split pushing, and she can't split push because of Slark, so that would be weird. But, yeah, Bravado actually going to commit here. It's funny, they've waited almost until Roshan is up, but getting a little impatient. I think this could actually be a mistake for them. I think if you've waited this long already, you might as well just wait to get the Aegis before going high ground here. But like you said, they have initiation, maybe they're just hoping to catch someone with the blink, although still I'm not sure if that's going to work for them.
They're going to catch Grono's Berserker's Call onto the Slark. Ice Blast going to fly across, going to catch two. The shield there, boat going to fly across, not going to hit anyone. And the Overgrowth started to be cast by that Treant, but smartly cancelled. Now do we see re-engage here? Antab is ready. Has Shikuchi, Fade Bolt ready to go. Ice Blast is still ticking on that Weaver. They're not going to be able to catch anything, but they do quell the push. Range Racks did take plenty of damage. Berserker's Call onto the Abaddon, and they're still going for this. In comes the Torrent, Overgrowth as well, catching plenty from Gron using BKB defensively. 3 people here from Bravado, all grouped up, not able to do anything, but Ichigogogo the first to fall, Inferno second. That pounce from Slark catching him mid-leap. And now Gron, Watson's Water, all on the back foot, trying to get the hell out of the situation. Slark is on an absolute rampage here. Is that Berserker's Call catching? They find the Weaver. Can they possibly take him down? Does have time lapse? No, he doesn't. It's on cooldown. They've got enough damage. Can they take him? One more hit from Gron. Down he goes, but Racks are falling.
Yeah, and the Weaver's actually buying back, so they really want to commit to continuing to take something, or maybe they're just going to use this buyback to take Roshan. I think that's what they're going to end up having to do. But, yeah, good fight there for Bravado. I mean, kind of like, yeah, weird reinitiation by Ichigogogo, whose initiations have typically been pretty good this game. Jumping in and calling just an Abaddon, like, I think his team was kind of like, you know, the question mark floating above their head if they were in an anime. Like, what exactly are we supposed to do here? Because, like, if they follow up with going on the Abaddon, they're probably just going to get wrecked. And that's ended up being what happened, because the tree had an excellent blink into a 5-man Overgrowth. Unfortunately, they didn't have a boat, but still, obviously, with the damage the Weaver and the Slark can output, it was easily enough for them to win that fight. And this is actually the third Roshan, so this is Cheese and Aegis. Now, admittedly, Cheese not excellent against AA, but still better than nothing.
I mean, it was messy from both sides to begin with, but we definitely saw the strength of Bravado's heroes, able to heal up and re-engage. The Ice Blast taking down that Weaver in the end with the OD right clicks. But how many buybacks did we have there from Ichigo's team?
Just one. No, 2. Yeah, no, just 1. No, yeah, 2. Yeah,
Marana and Axe, yeah.
Well, like, those are the less important heroes to be forced to buy back. Like, as long as the OD doesn't have to buy back, that's good. OD, just this casual Ring of Basilius.
Well, he could turn it into a Ring of Aquila with Slippers of Agility.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Maybe you should remember that. But, yeah, like, as long as the OD didn't buy back, that's the most important thing for them. Obviously, the Marana is still not getting anywhere. She's going to go for that Maelstrom, but like I said, I don't know if that's going to be a very effective item for her. And the Axe has actually gone back for the Blade Mail now.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's better than ever now, because like you said, the BKBs have ticked down.
Well, with the Marana, it's the situation. She has no buyback. She's not going to get any kind of gold in the next minute or two. So there's no way to go for a bigger item. So it's basically making the best of a bad situation. Maelstrom, she had the Mithril Hammer, may as well make Maelstrom. She might have initially thought BKB or maybe Deso, but last chance saloon now.
Yeah. And, well, Bravado not showing any hesitation here. It's late. It's a Saturday night. They want to go out. Time to end this game with this Aegis and Cheese.
What is Weaver making with that Perseverance?
I'm guessing it's going to be a Lincoln's. Just put the Lincolns on the Slark so that he can't be hexed.
Okay.
At all. Ever. Or maybe just for him so he can't be hexed. I don't know. Yeah, it's a little bit weird, but I guess, like, I don't know. She could get a Butterfly as well. I mean, most of her problem is coming from the AA ultimate anyway. It doesn't really have to do with any of the heroes who are right-clicking. So, I guess she just... being a team player, getting the Lincolns.
Right, initiation range from Slark. He can jump to what, about where the racks are with Blink Dagger and then pounce. So he could technically catch the Marana if he's good enough.
Yeah, although that would be a little bit questionable because then Ron will just get astraled. But yeah, I mean, it would potentially clump up Ichigo as they try to go on the Slark. Sets them up quite nicely for a Torrent into vote.
The Alliance?
Yeah, I didn't get that at first, but I guess it's the Bravado Alliance or the South African Alliance, something like that. Or maybe he's the South Africans are the Alliance, and
The Alliance are doing it!
I don't know. It's Knoxville.
yeah, it's Knoxville for sure. But here comes the push. A ultimate is going to fly in. Slark is actually going to pounce in before.
And Tab's going to get astraled up. They continue fighting though. Slark pushing everyone back. Call on 2. Both from Torrent probably going to miss here though. Actually, Axe gets caught. Big astral, big Sanity Eclipse. But doesn't actually finish anyone off. Slark is getting pretty low from that AA ult, but they'll just be able to back up, heal. There's cheese drop for him, full HP, full mana, no problem whatsoever. Tier 3 is going to fall in no time, and a bad sitting on the front lines just trying to hold back that AA. How long till that ultimate comes off cooldown? 5 seconds now, but it's not going to stop them taking racks, especially when Slark blinks and pounces over. Gron going to save his team with another nice astral, but BKB not so useful against Slark, who is now invis in your fountain and killing you, slowly but surely. Ice Blast going to hit him, but one more hit, down he goes. Slark's not going to pounce out here, he's just going to continue trying to hit the last nail in the coffin of Ichigo. Even Trian, they are actually fountain diving.
Yeah, well, this I guess time for the GG to come out from Ichigo here, but a really well played game by both teams. Bravado just managing it. Well, technically I guess it's not over yet, as they're going to get punished for the fountain dive, but still, Aegis, Slark can come back. But Slark just leaving his
Nothing.
team.
They've got nothing to stop that Weaver. Hex is off cooldown now. Oh, he just gets the Shikuchi in time. Slark comes back in for this. Shikuchi is on that Rubik. Both BKBs pop here now. This is looking dangerous for Ichigo. Antab going to try and save the rest of his teammates by walking into the enemy. Go Scepter from Warson's Wall. They're going to catch that Slark, and he's going to go down here. Tick from that Ice Blast. But oh, the hit from Kunkka. The cleave from Tidebringer. Leech Seed onto Inferno Coil, doing plenty of damage, but not quite enough to take him down. And that's the Lincolns on the Weaver.
Yeah,
Just
casually
picked up,
picking
I
up
think.
the gem that was in the enemy fountain as well. Oops, forgot that.
Circus Pool with Blade Mail. They're not going to be able to do enough here, are they? Inferno Koi, Starstorm. Oh, they actually do manage to take him down. So they're getting some decent exit kills, but they've lost 2 lanes of racks. 1 tier 4 has fallen. There are 2 catapults and 4 range creeps hitting away at this last tier 4. The chase still continues. Axe is looking for Kunkka, but Slark in the back end still finding pickoffs here and there. Mirana goes down, and now Axe 1v2 plus a load of creeps. Ice Blast going to come in and help out. Can they actually bring down a couple of heroes here? Kunkka, very low, probably going to tick out.
Yeah, I think actually he's going to be fine. The Battle Hunger, unfortunately, he did manage to dispel. Yeah. So this is kind of Bravado's weakness, is that they do get a little bit overzealous when they're winning, tend to make a few plays like this, but it does look like this one's in the bag, and I'm not really sure that there's a whole lot the Radiant can do about it. They've lost both their tier 4s now, and the GG push I'm sure will be coming from Bravado as soon as the Weaver is up. Slark just makes a few more pickoffs on his own. So yeah, the story of this night for South Africa has been Donnie Slark.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, they've had pretty strong drafts all in all, but it really has centered around the Slark and how to keep him in the laning phase, farming well for, what, 10 to 15 minutes? And then he comes out with such a great lead over the enemy heroes and the ability to hit and run that they have no way of stopping him. I think the first game he played, he went something like 18-0, now he's gone 18-3. He just doesn't die.
Yeah, Gron.
Gron.
So, pretty exciting match, but looks
my
like
God.
the South Africans are back in it.
Whoa! I can't believe it.
Dragging their way back up from the losers bracket.
I've got a dramatic reading to do now.
Dramatic reading.
A dramatic reading, and indeed.
Okay.
You happy, Nox?
I'm just gonna read out a very important tweet. Like Dodo? Question mark. Like South Africa? Question mark. Want to see the UK slam by South Africa? Question mark. Join in tomorrow night at 4 p.m. British Standard Time, 5 p.m. South African Central Time at
Beautiful.
Dodo.
Just remember, you have one South African team left. They're currently playing against the worst English teams because they've been knocked down from the winners bracket.
Who
Hey,